dear, excuse me. Right. Let's launch this game. Let's make sure the mouse works first. It does, good. And this one, I think. We've got to tab out so we can actually get it running. Do this quickly, very quickly. There we go. A little bit up there. There we go. I still need to look up the Easter egg for the map menu, but we'll do that later. I'll look that up for the next session, hopefully. Okay, good. It recognises the fact that it's got everything, because, yeah, this game's a bugger to run. At least I'm on hardware, so technically I'm not using any of the discs. I do have the discs, but they've all been installed onto the PC, and there's been some patches and all this guff to get it running. So, last time, excuse me because I'm sick, but last time, finally got the sword that Mundy had, and then something chased us, killed us with the sword. And then we woke up dead. So this is our grave, and we're not dead because we're a werewolf now. So somebody has most likely turned us into a werewolf. So I wonder who that could be. So if we click on loot and look, we can turn it into a werewolf. That's cool. Right.
My own grave. How depressing. I decided against crawling back into my grave.
I don't know, it sounds like fun to me.
There was a water-soaked letter by my graveside.
Let's have a read then.
There's a letter at my graveside.
Who's it from?
Ilsa.
Who's Ilsa?
An old flame of mine from the good old days.
How old?
Old enough to be good.
What does it say?
It appears to be a love letter.
Dear Luton, I'm writing this letter even though I know I will never have the courage to give it to you. I have to leave Ankh-Morpork. I can't tell you why. I wish I could. These last few days have meant the world to me, but I haven't the strength to tell you to your face that I can never be yours. I am married to an Agatean man named Two Conquers, and I thought I would never see him again. He was dead to me, and my life was empty. Please believe me, I never meant to hurt you. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. I will always look back on the Hotel Pseudopolis fondly.
You all right?
Sure. This is just one of those big emotional scenes like in the Clickies.
I suppose a bone is out of the question. Maybe a dog biscuit? Wag, wag?
No guess mode, no.
The flashback was bad enough the first time. I wasn't going to read the letter again.
Oh, so we're not going to pick it up with us. Okay, fair enough. Move out of the way, mate. There we go.
My tombstone. Luton P.I. Gone and forgotten. Not the epitaph I'd hoped for. I thought I could smell a woman around my tombstone.
Okay, we'll look at that in a second. I guess.
A mangy dog going by the name of Gaspode the Wonder Dog. Small, bow-legged, and wiry. Basically grey, but with patches of brown, white, and black in outlying areas. Gaspode appeared to have fleas. Hard pads, scurf, crusted yellow eyes, arthritis, rotting teeth, and horrible bad breath. Between him and Nobby, I was starting to worry about my circle of friends.
Alright, what do you have
I'm
to say,
back.
mate?
Good boy.
Are you the only dog on the streets, then?
No.
Tell me about the others.
The Dog Guild. Bunch of troublemakers trying to overthrow the master race.
Overthrow the master race?
Yeah, your kind. Well, your kind before some werewolf bit you.
And who do you think could have bit me?
Well, there are a few werewolves in Ankh-Morpork. Like any busy metropolis, we have our share of the ethnic minorities.
Not all of those minorities change shoes by about 14 sizes in the full moon, though.
True enough.
Right,
Do you see scents as colors?
Nah, I'm just a dog.
How did you know what I was talking about?
I just had to think about what the things I could smell would look like as a colour. Wasn't too hard.
Can you go through those colors again?
Oh, all right.
All right.
There was the general bright green mist of the River Ankh, right?
Right. And the hideously unbearable blue fog is you.
Hey, it was only unpleasant a short while ago.
You're telling me.
Then you've got a trail of purplish red with flashing dots, which is where somebody passed through the cemetery.
But we don't know who.
Right. And if you don't follow it before the smell of the Ankh drowns it out, you'll just have to wait until you find it again somewhere else and compare it.
All right.
Tell me about the Dog Guild.
I already told you. A bunch of troublemakers.
But there's no guild house for a guild of dogs.
That's right. No motto and no coat of arms. Not even a little tartan one.
So what's the deal?
The guild is made up of all the dogs who have been bad boys.
How do you join?
You have to run away from your owner.
What does a dog guild do?
Same as a regular guild.
Cut themselves off from everyone else and act smug?
That's about it. It controls scavenging rights, nighttime barking duties, breeding missions, and howling rotas.
Seriously?
Well, it used to when Big Fido was in charge. Since he, disappeared, they've basically just run around as a pack of thugs.
Disappeared?
He's dead. I know he's dead anyway. I saw it happen. But observational evidence isn't as compelling as you'd like to think. Nah, most of the dogs believe that he lives on, leading a huge pack of mountain wolves who nightly strike terror into isolated farmsteads. I guess it makes digging in the middens and hanging around the back doors for scraps seem, more bearable.
We're only doing it until Big Fido gets back.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
You said there were a few werewolves in Ankh-Morpork.
That's right.
Do you know any of them?
I thought I knew all of them.
Who are they?
Well, there's Ludmilla Cake,
Who's she?
Mrs. Cake's daughter. Even in human form, Ludmilla is built to a larger scale, and she has slightly pointed ears and teeth which are white and beautiful but catch the light in a disturbing way.
What's she like?
Yes.
Apparently, she has this disturbing habit of staring at people's throats while she talks to them, which tends to put a damper on the conversation.
Anyone else?
There's Lupine, although he's technically a were-man. He's a 7-foot-tall, muscular, hairy young man with long canines, pointy ears and yellow eyes during the full moon. The rest of the time, he is a real wolf.
That must make relations with other werewolves difficult.
Well, he appears to have a satisfactory liaison with Ludmilla, despite being the same shape only 1 week per month.
That all of them?
After that, there's only Angua.
Angua?
I don't want to talk about
Angua.
Angua.
Where does Angua come from?
I told you, I don't want to talk about it.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly from what I have read of Discworld, Angua is one of the members of the Watch. I've forgotten what rank she is, but she is indeed a werewolf. She's at least in Thud, from what I remember. I don't think Thud was out at this point. Thud's quite a later book. I need to read some of the Watch books anyway.
Did you run away from your owner?
Not exactly.
What happened?
He threw me into the river in a sack with a brick when I was a pup.
How did you survive?
Well, luckily, the river was the Ankh, so I just walked ashore in the sack.
That's quite a puppyhood you had.
Yeah, and that's not mentioning the certain confused relationship I had with the brick for several days.
So you've never had an owner?
Well, I was fixed up with some owners.
Were they nice?
Oh, they were nice, all right. They were so bloody nice, it drove me nuts. Yeah, they were always patting me and giving me a bloody B-A-T-H. Yeah. They even gave me a little bright doggy bowl with the words Mr. Huggy on it.
And you ran away?
The moment the brush hit the bubble bath.
Yeah, he's that type of dog.
Who was Big Fido?
Yeah, he used to be a rather dainty white poodle with the overgrown remains of a poodle cut and wearing a diamante collar.
What happened?
He went, to hijack a phrase, barking mad. One day he realised that everything around him, his bowl, his collar, his kennel, his blanket, had his name on it. He ate his blanket, savaged his owner, and ran off to found the Dog Guild.
And others followed him?
He intimidated others with his dream that all dogs were wolves at heart and needed only to band together to overthrow humanity, the master race, and reclaim their ancient heritage.
And where is he now?
Nobody knows. But mothers tell their pups to be good, or Big Fido will get 'em.
I thought you said he was dead.
Oh, he is. I saw it happen. Sorta fell to his death. His sorry remains were picked up by foul old Ron and sold to a furrier in about 5 minutes. But that's just what actually happened. That doesn't mean anyone knows what happened.
The myth has more power than the truth.
You're not as dumb as you look, are you, Luton? I'll make a wolf out of you yet.
So yes, Foul Old Ron is one of the tramps of Morpork. He's certainly a character. What have we got on us? So we've still got our purse, that's good. We've still got the coin. Grappling hook, hi Fusky. That's cool. Of course, the envelope with the crowbar.
Does this mean anything to you?
Does it mean you're fascinated with shiny objects, eh?
Oh, truly you are a gifted sage, Gaspode.
It's a small inventory, so we might as well.
I had a feeling that the envelope wasn't something I should discuss with everyone I met.
He's a fucking talking dog who's only talking to you. I think you can show him the envelope. Right. Back to the top. Since we've got it, we might as well.
Can you think of...
No use asking me about human murders.
It was there, so why not?
Do they get werewolves in Uberwald?
Luton, Uberwald is the undead capital of the Disc.
And werewolves
Hint, hint,
count
hint.
as undead?
And if Sir would care to look to his left, where we can see the open grave that Sir was recently self-exhumed from.
I get the point. What about the von Uberwald clan?
I think I've heard of those. Isn't their motto Carpe Jugulum?
Seize the throat?
Yeah, sounds about right.
So, I'm probably going to spoil it, or rather, in fact, just explain it. If you couldn't have guessed from earlier, yes, Carlotta is indeed the one who turned us into a werewolf. From that scene earlier when she kissed us. You can see the blood dripping down her throat, so yes. She is indeed a werewolf, and the one that turned us into a werewolf.
Do you know a woman named...
Don't know him.
What do you...
Don't know.
Might as well go through all of this just in case.
You seem...
Ha, ha.
Have you heard anything about the counterweight killings?
I've heard a little.
What do you make of it?
Whoever it is, I don't think he's from outside Ankh-Morpork.
What makes you say that?
No one cares about what happens in Ankh-Morpork except for those of us who live here.
That's nonsense. We almost went to war with Klatch not that long ago.
Yeah, but now they've done that once, they're hardly likely to do it again. Nah, trust me. It's a local job.
Local, alright. I'm likely to trust you on that. Done that.
Do you know what?
Gordon Bennett, who do you think I am? Laddie the Wonder Dog?
No, mate. If I don't ask you everything, I'm going to miss something, so...
What do you know about the murder of Mount Malachite?
Gordon.
What about Horst? You should know something about Horst.
Do you know a troll by the name of Jasper Horst?
Don't know him.
Yeah, alright. Here we go.
There's some kind of bestial attacker out in the streets of Ankh-Morpork. It's hard to say anything about it, but could it be a werewolf?
What's it done?
It's killed at least 3 people and probably a few more besides.
Did it kill you?
Yes, I think it did.
Well then, whatever it is, isn't a werewolf.
What makes you say that?
If it was, it'd have known how to kill you properly, right?
So what do you think it was?
Beats the hell out of me.
True. That's true, or it couldn't have, or it didn't know. Actually, no. I think werewolves can tell if someone's a werewolf through scent. So I've got a list, but I've got a cold, so that's not really helping. All right, what about the sword?
Do you know anything about a legendary golden sword?
Oh, of course. I've got one over here. Where did I put it?
Ha ha.
Such lovely sass.
If I mention a gold-plated jewel, will you say something sarcastic?
It's a good bet.
Skipping straight to the point, I see. Very good. Right. Right. Okay.
Thanks for your help, Gaspode.
I live to serve you, master.
Yes, yes, indeed. Right.
The scent of a woman around my grave. The smell of Gaspode the Wonder Dog. Not unlike that of a privy carpet.
Kill me.
Something had passed through the cemetery and left a very strange trail.
Okay, so we've got this fuchsia. It's unpleasant, not cool. Double click that. Hang on. That's Casper, that's Rourke.
That's where I first smelled it.
Oh, okay, so that's Ilsa. Okay. Wait, fuchsia, hang on. Wait. That's magenta. Okay.
I knew it was the same scent. That's where I got it from. Something had passed through the...
Alright.
I followed the magenta scent with a certain sense of grim inevitability. I already knew where it would lead.
Ah, this bloody thing. I remember for like most playthroughs you always miss this. It's this fucking moss. You need it for
There
something.
was some kind of moss on the ground where I had been killed. It obviously didn't grow here, which means it came from somewhere else. The question was where?
Oh, so we were killed outside Saturnalia. Interesting.
Some moss, found where I was murdered. When I looked closely at it, I was convinced it was moving.
Okay.
Having a chalk outline outside just didn't put people in the mood to gamble. It was probably...
Oops. Hang on. That was me misclicking.
Having a chalk outline... It was probably the only time in my life I'd had an effect on high society. I couldn't think of a good reason to erase the chalk outline other than the giddy thrill of vandalism.
Vandalism is pretty fun. Right. Okay.
For the time being,
Oh,
at
Fusky.
least, Saturnalia was closed.
Well, Fusky, maybe you should have watched last episode. No. So basically, last time, for those of you who weren't here, we finally got into the Guild of Archaeologists, etc., etc. Through some complicated manner of whatever, we finally got into the hidden underground vault, unlocked it, got in, cross-referenced where the sword was, found the sword, left. Someone chased us, we dropped the sword, and then they chased us and killed us with the sword. But, of course, we're a werewolf now, so we survived it. Okay.
Down by the river, the smell of the Ankh was... oh, I don't know. It was pretty bad anyway. The magenta trail led to the site of my murder. I guess it must be the murderer's trail.
There we go. Oh, we can follow it.
I followed my murderer's trail back to the Temple of Small Gods. I was on the other side of a stained glass window with some kind of angel on it. I could see that someone was on the other side of the window. I was confident the silhouette belonged to Mooncalf.
Yeah, that's where Mooncalf is. Okay, we'll go talk to him in a second. Was that it?
I'd lost the trail. I couldn't tell where it went from here. The trail led to... then...
So yeah, if you can guess already, it's a good bet that the Magenta Trail is indeed Carlos. How do we get out of here? There's Gasbird. Then yeah, we can look at the grave if we want to. Bloody bats. Right, so yeah, that's a cemetery, so we can look at that. So we went all the way over to here. And back here. Interesting. Well, since he's here and he's the fountain of all wisdom.
I need your help again, Malaclips.
Well...
Which deity do you serve?
which?
I don't serve it.
No, he's just repeating his
The
usual...
truth.
Oh crap.
I need... I don't think we've got anything new since... Why was Malachite killed then?
He knew too much.
Are we talking about the same Malachite?
Yeah, this isn't going to be helpful. Alright, bye-bye. Alright, you bastard. Let's dance.
I have some more questions.
Ask them, if you must.
Did your church buy that window?
We are not a church, we're a cult.
What's the...
Demographic. Church is a... No.
Oh, that's the
how...
same thing.
I have some...
Ask.
So, here I am, a fresh punt. Why should I choose...
Because Anu is the true god of... But
such...
ever...
No. Any... Thank...
We've already talked about all this.
Do you recognize this moss?
I prefer to involve...
Okay, I don't. These are not going to be helpful. We don't have any new clues. We can't like wolf stuff.
I need your...
There.
Do you recognize this moss?
Is it Gerald?
Gerald?
My pet lichen?
No, I don't think so.
It could be. Servants from foul old Ron's conspiracy kidnapped him many years ago for a purpose unknown.
Are you sure they didn't steal it to add flavor to their boot soup? It sounds more likely.
Possibly. It's always so hard to be sure.
Could have something with foul Ron. Oh no, that was where the other dog. Also hello.
I'll have to go.
Okay, I think we should. Carlos is gonna.
Oh, it is you, sir.
I'm just as thrilled.
Who would Sir like to see this time?
I'd like to see Carlotta. Is she home?
I will go and check.
Thank you, sir. You're so helpful.
The book was an old edition of Twerp's Peerage. Probably a collector's item. Why do rich families feel the need to leave old, valuable books lying around in their reception halls? It's bad enough that they have so much more money than you without rubbing it in. The book was about the lineage and heraldry of the nobility of the city of Ankh. I didn't understand much of it, but I noticed that there were handwritten corrections in it.
Just do this for the sake of longevity.
It was her handwriting, all right. I'll say this for the von Oberwalds. They had class. There weren't many homes in Ankh-Morpork with a window that could take your breath away. Well, maybe in Unseen University, but I'd heard that they had windows there that could literally take your breath away. While the butler was gone, I slipped into my wolf form. A purple scent stretched across the hallway, and I instantly knew it was Carlotta. But that wasn't all. The richness of her odor told me something else. Carlotta was a werewolf, just like me.
Perfect.
It seems that Carlotta is not in her room.
Take a message. Tell her to meet me at the Café Ankh later tonight.
As Sir wishes.
If Carlotta was the werewolf who infected me, I wanted to speak to her as soon as possible. Sheesh! You'd think a guy could take one kiss and wake up the same shape next day, wouldn't you?
Now, we'll talk to the Count later. Let's see if we've...
When I returned to my office for the first time since my murder, a man was already there. I knew he was a man because Corporal Nobbs was the only person in Ankh-Morpork who has to carry a letter to confirm his species. He's the kind of man you get itchy from just talking to. There must be something here. Hello, Nobby. Luton, you're alive? I was just cleaning out your desk. Yes, of everything of value. Didn't they bury you? Rumors of my death have been slightly exaggerated. Meaning? Meaning I'm not dead, I just got buried. Yeah, don't tell me the details. Suit yourself. Nice crowbar you're using to jimmy open my drawers. Yeah. I sort of borrowed it from the evidence room. That's okay. I sort of borrowed it from a cart. Oh, I searched Reagan's body. There were 2 tiny bite marks on it. Really? I guess it was more suspicious than you thought. Well, I ought to go. Looks like you don't need your things collecting. How goes the case? The counterweight killings? Oh, still not much progress. They wouldn't let me investigate it if they thought there would be. How many murders do you guys think there are? 3. One of the patrician's clerks, the reader of esoteric occultism up at Unseen University, and one of the city's richest merchants. There'd be 3 more if you counted Mundy, Reagan, and Malachite. I suppose so. Still not convinced? Well,
6
Vimes
murders
isn't
so
convinced.
far.
Even though I've been cleared, I have to get back to the yard. Nobby didn't seem very comfortable around me. I didn't know if it was because of my return from the grave or because I'd caught him trying to steal everything of value that wasn't tied down. Although with Nobby, even if you tied it down, he'd steal the string. The only thing I was sure of was that my next step was to look into the counterweight killings. I had a feeling I wasn't going to like what I found. Sapient, it's a nice...
Yeah.
My old trusty crowbar, stolen by me from the golem, then stolen from me by the watch, stolen by Nobby from the evidence cabinet, and finally back into my hands again. There was a poetic injustice about it all.
Oops, hold on. Oh, it doesn't double up. Because we already have one on it, because it respawns. But while we're here...
The maroon scent wasn't recent. It suggested the tangy red of iron. The maroon scent wasn't recent. The cloud of teal-colored scent was the smell of tobacco and petty theft. Definitely Nobby's.
Up to the inventory. So yeah, we can collect scents now.
There was a faint haze of purple in the room. There was a certain similarity between the purple and fuchsia scents. They both belonged to women. The maroons...
Okay.
It's
I want to just... God. Deselect it.
The purple scent was quite distinctive. I'd know it if I smelled it again. There was a faint... Around the door was a strong, dark cyan odor with an earthy overtone.
So there we go, got another one. So that's Gaspar, that's the Ankh, that's the serial killer. Or most likely Carlotta. There's Ilsa. There's a maroon colour that was in here. That's from a long time ago. Nobby. Something near the door. That's the one. I do like this mechanic. It adds a nice sort of extra bit of extra element gameplay to it from Act 3 onwards. Let's go see Nobby.
You could say this about Nobby. Deep down, he was a good man. Well, deep down, he was probably a man. Good might be stretching it a bit.
God, this aspect ratio.
Back behind the desk, I see. Hello, Luton. Do you recognize this moss? No.
Great sentence opener. Right. Let's see what's got added. Contacts.
Since I'm no longer a suspect, would you like to tell me something about the counterweight killings? Sorry, Luton, still can't discuss it. I take it I'm still the prime suspect for Mundy's murder.
Afraid so, Luton.
I take it you realize that Mundy was hung upside down from the rafters.
Well, yes, of course. Yes. Hung upside down. Yeah.
I can't believe that the person doing the most work on this case is also the prime suspect.
Because I don't know whether we've talked to him about these
I
things
told
or not.
Nobby about finding Reagan's body and the carriage in the river by the Magdalen Bridge, and he promised he'd check it out. I knew Nobby, though. The best I could hope for would be he'd pass a memo on to someone else, and I wasn't hopeful for even that. Nobby had a simple attitude to police work. If a job's worth doing, it's worth finding someone else to do it for you.
Although he's already said that he did investigate and did find the bite marks, so he has done something.
Any leads on Malachite's murder?
We're baffled.
Yes, Nobby, but you're baffled by the way it gets dark every evening.
Ha ha, Luton. Very funny.
Nobby doesn't need to know that. Here we go, more murders. That's not what I wanted to press. That's the sword and stuff, still don't know. Kedwick. Right, so it's the clerk's murder, the wizard murder, merchant's murder.
You mentioned the murder of one of the patrician's clerks before.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that?
That he's dead.
That's all your in-depth inquiries turned up?
Not as easy as that, you know, making sure someone's really dead. He might have just been playing dead. Anyway, he was killed in the palace.
You must know more than that. Or is it that you can't tell me about it?
If you want to know more, you'll have to find out yourself. Sorry.
Never would have guessed it, Nobby.
Okay. So I'll have to go into the patrician's palace at some point to find that out. Reader of esoteric occultism's murder. So he's from the...
What can you tell me about the murder at Unseen University?
Nothing.
Nothing?
The university isn't being cooperative. Old Vimes is saying that because it's murder, it's our jurisdiction. But they're arguing that they can handle their own affairs. It's all got political.
That doesn't help the inquiry much, does it?
Looks like I have to pay the wizards a visit at some point now.
What about this merchant that you said was murdered?
I can't discuss that with you.
Well, you must be able to tell me something.
The guilds like to keep these disputes to themselves. You know what I mean? You'll have to talk to the Merchants Guild.
Oh, there we go. There's one place. I think I'll do for now. Thanks, Nobby.
I guess I'll see you around, Nobby. I'll try to avoid it, though. Let's face it, Nobby was no oil painting. Unless someone did it with their foot.
Alright, let's see if not Ilsa, Carlotta's showed up. There's Merchant's Guild. I forgot what the Merchant's Guild looks like. Find out later, I guess. Damn, it's gone. Oh.
You wanted to see me.
I tried to reach you at the mansion, but you're never around when I need you.
You never need me when I'm around.
A funny thing happened to me the other day.
You arranged all this just to tell me an anecdote?
It's a funny little story. I think you'll like it.
I'm listening.
The other night, someone stuck a sword through my ribs.
Ah, it must have been someone who knew you well.
The thing is, not long afterwards, I was in my coffin thinking about it when I realized I wasn't dead.
That was lucky.
Luck was not a factor. Why did you do it, Carlotta?
Do what?
Make me a werewolf.
If I hadn't, you'd be dead. Would you prefer that?
That's not the point, and you know it. You did something to me that was going to change who I was for the rest of my life. And you didn't even tell me.
I didn't think you'd understand. Besides, it wasn't as if I planned it.
Are you telling me you turned me into a werewolf by accident?
How long have you been a werewolf now?
Not long.
Have you felt what it's like? That force that pulls on you, that draws your attention to every jugular, pulsing with life? The irrepressible call of fresh blood? A sudden attention to the phases of the moon?
I have to fight to keep control.
We all do. Coming to a city of 1 million people, it's like a starving monkey wandering into a banana plantation. You learn to live with it.
And you decided to infect me with lycanthropy?
Infect is such a negative word. I prefer blessed.
You think this is a gift?
Of course it's a gift. It's the greatest gift I could give to someone. And I chose you.
Why?
You're a smart man, Luton. Figure it out.
Okay, let's talk.
Do you recognize this moss?
I'm sure you can think of something better to ask me, Luton.
It's only it was found in my corpse, you know. Alright, let's go through the list. That doesn't matter.
I was. Reagan's dead.
I'm not surprised.
You don't seem to care.
Everybody dies, Luton. Mundy, Reagan, even you.
What's your point?
No point. That's just life.
Where were you when Reagan was killed?
When was he killed?
Shortly after dropping you off at the Temple of Small Gods.
Well, there's your answer then.
Funny how you keep appearing at the Temple of Small Gods every time someone gets murdered.
I told Carlotta when Malachite was murdered and asked her where she was at the time.
I was at a service then. Why do you ask?
A service?
I happen to enjoy services.
I bet I would too. Why don't you invite me to one?
I wouldn't be allowed to bring an unbeliever.
How do you know I'm an unbeliever?
I doubt you believe in anything.
A man can change. Don't you have a recruitment policy?
I'd rather not talk about religion. It's such a controversial subject.
I can't help but notice that your recurring alibi for the murders is that you were at the Temple of Small Gods.
Everyone needs a little solace now and then.
You seem to need it a lot.
I'm not easily satisfied.
Which god is it that you worship?
I really don't like to discuss religion.
Come on. I only want to know the name.
All right. Her name is Errata, but I don't appreciate you prying into my spiritual affairs like this.
Can I pry into your physical affairs?
My affairs are never just physical.
I bet you say that to all the boys.
Errata, you say? Devilishly clever, Seymour. Oh, not this glitch. Oh, I fucking hate this glitch. Colotra as well. Errata. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Lovely, lovely graph. No, Ace. No, they did that already. And that's why we're a fucking werewolf.
So, how many people have you killed?
I'm not that kind of a werewolf.
I suspected you were a killer even when you were just a woman. Now, I'm certain of it.
I was never just a woman.
You expect me to believe you've never killed anyone?
I have a lot of self-control.
It didn't seem that way when we kissed.
Don't mistake passion for a lack of self-control.
Do all werewolves see the world the same?
Everyone sees the world differently, Luton. That's what life is all about.
I meant the colors. Do you see the same colors I do?
What color is the smell of the river Ankh to you?
A kind of cacophonous bright green.
I guess we do then.
Whoever killed me had a distinctive magenta scent. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
Doesn't ring any bells.
There was something else about it. Like a kind of fluorescent sparkle.
Like a greenish yellow-purple?
That's the one.
That's octarine.
Octarine? Sounds like a type of fruit.
It's the 8th color of the spectrum.
8th?
The basic color of which other colors are merely pale shadows impinging on conventional reality. The color of magic.
Conventional reality?
Or what
book
passes
2, by
for
the way.
conventional on the Discworld.
What's that supposed to mean?
If I always knew what I meant, I'd be a genius.
So what smells of octarine?
Anything magical.
Then how come I've never seen it before? There must be 100 magical things in the city. Unseen University should glow like a sparkler.
Mortals can't see it, only wizards. Although we can smell it, of course.
That doesn't explain why Unseen University doesn't reek of it.
Well, it fades quickly in sunlight, and in extreme cases, walks away.
Tell me about this goddess, Errata.
I already told you, I don't like to talk about religion.
She's not like Om, then. He's the god of Omnia.
Is that the place with the Quisition? All the overzealous holy wars and tortures?
It used to be. They had some kind of reformation, and now they're just overzealous about singing rousing hymns and distributing fundamentalist pamphlets in the street.
Well, that's a kind of torture all of its own.
You're telling me. I got cornered by one of them last week. How do you think I know so much about it? It was 3 hours before I could get them to leave. Thumb screws would have been quicker, at least.
Right, so I remember that page glitches for whatever stupid reason. Because someone doesn't know how to code.
So level with me. What do you really know about the counterweight killings?
Nothing, I swear.
I swear all the time. But that doesn't mean you can trust me. Do you know anything about...
No, I don't.
Do you know...
No.
Have you heard...
Sorry, Luton. I'm not an expert on murders, despite what you may think.
Worth a shot.
I take it you don't know where the golden sword is now.
Of course not. Do you think I wouldn't tell you?
Frankly, my dear, I don't know what to think.
I'm not telling you about that. Actually, I'm not telling you about the gold. I'll see what she says.
There didn't seem much...
Ah, temples and gods, Errata. It has its own sodding page now. Okay.
Where can I find you?
I'll be around.
That's not very helpful.
What can I say? I go where I want to, with anybody I want. I just happen to be that kind of girl.
This isn't over, Carlotta.
I hope not. We don't have to be enemies, Luton.
We'll never be friends.
Let's not fight, Luton. We can work together, recover the sword together.
I don't know who you are anymore.
I'm the same girl I ever was, Luton. It's you that's changed.
You're telling me.
You know, Luton, you don't have to work with me. You don't have to say anything, and you don't have to do anything. Not a thing. Oh, maybe just howl. You know how to howl, don't you, Luton? You just pull your jaws apart and blow.
After Carlotta had left, I sat alone in the cafe, thinking about my problems. As bad as it seemed, my life was still better than it was a few years ago. Back then, I would have sat alone in the cafe, drinking through my problems.
You know how to whistle, don't you?
I'd always respected Samael, and he'd always put up with me. I don't know why. I guess it didn't really matter. Samael, Mr. Luton.
That's it, you know anything about moss.
Do you recognize...
I wouldn't know.
Worth a shot, because it always fucking is. He doesn't know about murders.
What do you know about the goddess Errata?
I wouldn't.
He might know something.
Have you heard about the murder of one of the patrician's clerks?
Sure thing. I was interviewed by the watch about it.
You? Why?
He was the clerk in charge of the palace stores. He was the one who bought the wine for the palace.
Really? So do you know anything about the murder?
No. Sorry. But there should be someone here from the palace any moment now to collect the next shipment. You could ask them.
I guess I could, but I doubt they'd tell me anything. Thanks again.
No problem.
They might not tell me anything. They could certainly take me there.
Just like Samael had told me, there was a box of receipts in the cellar. The palace was due to buy some more wine. As far as I could tell, they would be collecting it sometime soon. Most of the wine barrels in the Café Ankh cellar had been brought into Ankh-Morpork on the Milka. I didn't really need a wine barrel.
Hang on. While we're here.
There was a lingering smell of purple in the corner.
Fuchsia. Oh, hey, Suave.
It smelled exactly the same.
Yeah, that's also okay.
The predominant smell in the cellar was of red wine, considerably more pleasant than the smell of the river, at least.
So there we go, that's wine barrels.
There were some faint traces of a light blue scent in the corner of the cellar. The scent was very weak, and I didn't think I would be able to remember it very well. The scent...
Oh, okay, so I can't pick that up. No.
Okay, I suppose I could crack open a barrel, empty out the wine, hide inside, and wait for someone to carry me into the palace. But I'd need to be a lot more confident that I wasn't going to get caught.
Okay.
Did the murder of the patrician's clerk have anything to do with the wine barrels? I didn't really...
Let me just double check.
Okay, I suppose, but I'd need to be a lot more...
No confident, okay. I'm getting there, Suave. A lot better than yesterday. Oh yeah, there's Merchant's Guild. Let's have a look here. This is new. Ah,
The
this
Merchant's Guild
place.
was the youngest of the Ankh-Morpork guilds,
Oh, this
founded in
bastard.
self-defense by the city's traders and shopkeepers when they realized their role in the grand scheme of things was to be robbed. Robbing fat merchants, it seemed, was a perfectly socially acceptable, even heroic thing to do. Consequently, they weren't the friendliest of guilds either. I wasn't holding out much hope that they'd help me. Evening.
Usually is when the sun sets.
Is everyone in this city a smart aleck?
Who's he?
He used to be a regular at the Mended Drum. He made a reputation as a know-it-all.
Used to be?
The Mended Drum is a bad place to use the phrase, no.
Where did they find his body?
The Shades. And the Diesel Gate. His kidney down a well in Dolly's sister's, I think. Bits of his innards all over the place. Sounds like he had a lot of guts.
Charmed, I'm sure.
So how did you end up working on the door?
Oh, there's only so many good positions to go around.
I take it this isn't one of them.
Oh, it's not that bad. I get to hear all the interesting news with this job.
And has anything interesting happened recently?
Oh, yes.
Such as?
We got a new kettle. Much nicer than the one with the leak that we used to use.
You boiled water in a kettle with a hole?
Well, we made a lot of steam anyway. It wouldn't stay in the cups, though.
And that's the most exciting thing that's happened here.
Oh, exciting. If you want exciting, you should see the new colour scheme in the coin-shaving room.
Come on. Someone was murdered. Wasn't that exciting?
Oh, sure.
Why didn't you mention that?
A guild policy. We're not to discuss the incident with outsiders.
The incident.
What's all this about coin shaving?
You haven't heard of coin-shaving?
No,
No.
I didn't even know they grew hair.
Well, You take a coin and you carefully shave off some of the gold, which you can then melt down and sell. Easy money.
I think I see a problem with that.
Yeah?
Well, I didn't think there was any gold in Ankh-Morpork dollars.
Well, there isn't. Not anymore. We kind of shaved them too much.
So what do you use the coin shaving room for?
We keep the kettle there. It sets off the new decor superbly.
That's why you redecorated it?
No, we used to keep the old kettle there, only all the wallpaper fell down.
Oh, God. What are we going to do with them?
I don't understand. Why is it guild policy not to discuss the murder?
Well, as you probably know, we formed the guild to stop the dreadful habit of visiting heroes robbing all the fat merchants.
Yeah, I heard that.
Ah, yonder lies a fat merchant, they'd cry, using that special landlord a flagon of your finest ale hero talk. Let us relieve him of some of his ill-gotten gains. Pon my scalliard. Next thing you know, they'd robbed you blind. That's the thanks you get for years of service.
Years of service, carefully mixing sand in the sugar and switching the number plates of the donkey carts.
Hey, that's a very stilted view. What about all the other top-quality bargains we offer?
Ah, yes. All those once-in-a-lifetime, never-to-be-repeated, absolutely didn't fall off the back of a cart offers.
Exactly. Plus, we keep the economy of the city running.
By giving small sums to the less smelly beggars?
Annually, yes.
You were telling me about guild policy.
Ah, yes. Anyway, it was decided that it would be the Merchants Guild's policy to fully further the aims of its members, advertise the civic charms of Ankh-Morpork, and beat 7 kinds of hell out of anyone with a leather loincloth.
Advertise the civic charms of Ankh-Morpork?
Are you saying you don't like Ankh-Morpork?
Oh, no. Absolutely not. I heard what you guys did to Castroaster.
Damn straight. He got tired real quick.
This doesn't explain why you can't discuss the murder with me.
Well, the Merchants Guild is supposed to be the shining beacon that shows the rest of the world how unsurpassably wonderful Ankh-Morpork is.
By robbing them blind?
Oi! Watch it.
Sorry. Continue.
Anyway, the point is, it's bad publicity if we're seen to have a murder in our ranks.
Couldn't you sell it as a tourist attraction?
What?
You know, come to Ankh-Morpork, site of the infamous counterweight killings.
Show some respect. A merchant lies dead, struck down in his prime.
So do half a dozen other people.
True, but they weren't merchants.
Charmed, I'm sure. Just like for the last one, but never mind.
So how exactly do you go about advertising the civic charms of Ankh-Morpork?
We pursue those misguided people who publicly fail to recognize the many attractive points of this fine city.
Pursue?
Yes, we hire large gangs of men with ears like fists and fists like walnuts to point out that Ankh-Morpork is in fact a marvellously clean and decent city in which to live. A process whose ongoing nature might be swiftly curtailed if they don't shut up right now.
I suspect they see sense.
Oh yes, even if their eyes are a bit swollen.
Elf, where are you?
Do you
Moss,
recognize
tell me
this
about
moss?
I don't know anything about that.
Actually, you're a merchant.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, too important. Fair.
About this merchant that was killed.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to discuss the incident with outsiders. A guild policy.
It wouldn't hurt to tell me the broad details, would it?
It would hurt a lot. They'd throw me off the roof.
No one's going to know.
I'd know about hitting the ground.
Is it really that important to you?
The Merchants Guild takes its policies very seriously.
So it seemed. I had to find a way to exploit that.
Will you now, Suave? That sounds interesting. Thank you in advance? Question mark? See if they know anything about the other
Do you
ones.
know any...
I can't help you there.
Do you know...
I can't help you.
I can't help.
Have you heard about the counterweight killings?
Who hasn't? It's the talk of the town. A gruesome serial killer in our own backyard.
Ankh-Morpork, where major political events are never talked about, but grisly murders are discussed over the dinner table.
Hey, if it isn't local news, I'm not interested.
Oh, of course. 10,000 killed in a pogrom in Omnia is irrelevant. But Ankh-Morpork man stubs toe on the Magdalen Bridge. Oh, that's news.
Someone stubbed their toe on the Magdalen Bridge?
Never mind.
Oh, God. Why not?
I didn't want this. The
They're merchants, they might know.
What do you know about the goddess Errata?
I don't know anything about that.
He's not going to be helpful unless we find some exploit.
Well, goodbye for now.
Well, now we know about Errata. Or rather, have Errata as a...
I need your help.
They...
Actually, before we do, that's the wrong button. Let's go through the murders.
What do you know about the murder of the patrician's clerk?
He wasn't killed. He's been smuggled out of Ankh-Morpork by a team of crack Ephebian ontological guerrillas.
Ontological guerrillas?
A vicious band of terrorist philosophers trying to spread their doctrine that our existence is purely an abstract experience mediated by a limited
What?
sensory experience, which cannot be relied upon to provide accurate perspectives or any true reality should one exist.
Sounds plausible.
So, they got to you too, did they?
Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Hold on. So I had to let that dialogue go. I'm a samurai. Thank you for the host of 18 viewers. People are presumably following. I'm going to have to wait for the stream to catch up to find the names, so give me a second. Thank you very much, lads. Let me just do the alerts first, and then I'll carry on with the game. He mentioned it. He popped up in stream and said, I'm going to bring some people. Nissan V2, thank you for the follow. Sorry, the streams are like a decent delay for me. I'm a samurai, thank you for the follow. Swav, how dare you. Right, I think, is that it? That was it, okay, good. Right. So yes, hello, new people. This is Discworld Noir, and I'm on Act 3 at the moment, so we're doing a bit of investigating. Thank you for that follow, I'll say your name in a second. So right now we're talking to this guy, because we've finally got... Yes you are, Swerve, you're a very nice streamer, a very good friend. Where was I? Act 3 indeed, yes. There's 4 acts to this, so we're quite far in the game. I'm kind of waiting for that alert to pop up so I can just say the name and get on with the game. I'm sorry. There it is. Wait, why didn't Nissan V2 pop up? Oh, God, I'm sorry. Did Nissan V2 host? Because, like, my host and... follow notifications are very similar and I need to change those. Oh, for God's sake. Sorry, you said Ima, and I thought you were referring to yourself, Suave. Oh yeah, I saw you were in Suave's stream a few days ago when he was doing God of War. Anyway, I should probably get on with the game, so sorry about that.
What about the reader of esoteric occultism? Do you know about his murder?
Ha! Internal politics. It is of no consequence to the world what happens inside Unseen University.
Even if they accidentally summon hideous demons from beyond space and time?
As long as they stay inside Unseen University, no problem.
Also, Ace or Suave, could you do a shout out for Samurai, please? That'd be nice. Just exclamation mark either SO or exclamation mark shout out. And then his name.
I heard a prominent merchant was killed.
That's right. A gangland killing by the Shin Kicker Triad. They told Bjorn Iron Trader to stop trading with their rivals, but he didn't listen to them.
I don't think that's the murder I'm interested in.
Maybe it should be.
Thank you. Ooh, let's go Eevee Pikachu. Nice. Good man. Right, that's not what I wanted to press. But where's Errata? She's down here somewhere. There she is.
Carlotta says she's a follower of Errata. Is that right?
Bah! I am the only true follower of Errata in the whole of Ankh-Morpork. Unless you have seen the light, Luton.
Seen the light?
Do you believe in the ways of Errata?
How could I not? Surely, Errata is the most worthy of all gods to follow.
Either you've just had a miraculous conversion or you're learning to lie. Good! A useful skill in followers of Errata.
That's always useful for getting information off this guy.
I'll have to go. The truth is out there.
Trust no one.
So yes, so basically, for everyone that's come over from Samurai's stream, this is a Discworld game from the Terry Pratchett series of novels. We're the Discworld's one and only private investigator, and we're investigating some murders and such. Oh, that's fair enough, Suave. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for initiating a raid. Or host, even, whatever it was. And basically, we got killed for it when we were trying to find the golden sword. But it turns out we're a werewolf now, so we survived it. So we've found out. So the main client turned us into a werewolf. And now let's go talk to this guy, to Rata.
I have some more questions.
Ask them, if you must.
Talked about the window, didn't you?
Can you tell me anything about Errata?
Bah! Maleclipse's deranged goddess. I do not waste my time with such trivialities.
Oh, I was hoping he'd say a bit more, but never mind. Let's see if he knows about the murders. I mean, like, kind of, yeah, but it's also like a noir trope. Like, she's literally a femme fatale.
I asked Mooncalf where he was when the murder took place, and he told me he was holding a sermon. I asked Mooncalf where he was when the murder took... I asked...
And he was holding a sermon. Funny how that keeps popping up. Whoa, okay. Thank you for...
Well, I'll be on...
I'll be here should you choose to repent. Did I tell you that we're giving away free tea towels to anyone who joins this week?
Could do with the tea towel. Well, that was somewhat useless. Alright. Just see if there's anything in the office. No. Okay. Actually, while we're here... Actually, no. Let's see. We haven't saved the game yet. Right. That's gone blue. Riddler's Workshop's still a thing.
All I knew about the statue was that it was a work in progress.
Thank God he's not here, because the thing will literally rotate, and it has to go through the whole animation before he'll talk to you, and he's quite annoying as it is. Oh, here we go.
They looked like ordinary bandages, but at some point they'd been soaked in plaster. What they were doing in Rodin's workshop was anyone's guess.
Interesting. Hold on, hold on. do this on...
I don't think that has anything to do with the bandages.
Really? Okay, fair enough. It was a good job we came in here then. Oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, Sapphire's gone. Why don't we ask Mankin, since we're here, see if he knows anything.
My usual, please.
Luton, you're...
What? Is my tie not done up straight? Is there an unfortunate mark on my nose?
I heard you were dead.
Perhaps I am. Get me a stiff drink. How about a whiskey?
Don't you want something with it?
All right, put another whiskey in there.
Drinking like that'll kill you.
I'm dead already. You didn't come back here to drink, did you?
Not really, no.
How's business been?
Poor. Sapphire's missed several days. I don't think she's coming back.
You could be right.
So this is the small talk to win me over before you start grilling me again, is it?
You may be onto something there.
I hope you know you're not making any friends here.
Something tells me she's skipped town.
Do you recognize this moss?
If you asked fewer questions, maybe... I read that.
Do these mean anything to you?
Bandages?
They seem to have plaster caked into them.
No, I don't know anything about that.
Yes, you do. You are the most useless liar I've ever met.
It's nothing to do with me. That's a matter for the watch.
The watch? They're only bandages.
That's all I'm saying on the matter. I don't want no trouble. And they are trouble.
He knows something. Okay. So it's a matter for the watch.
What have you heard about Malachite's murder?
Nothing.
Come on. You know there's no point lying to me.
I heard you done it, all right? Happy now?
So useful. Alright. Yeah, this glitches out because they decided to put the same...
What do you
text
know
in
about the
something.
goddess Errata?
If you asked fewer questions...
You wouldn't happen to have heard anything about the murder?
No one outside of the palace knows anything. Well, except the commander of the watch. I heard that the patrician has asked Commander Vimes to come and speak to him about it sometime soon.
Hadn't he already gone to see him?
Hey, what do I know? I'm just a bartender with big ears.
Perhaps he just wants an update on the case.
Whatever.
Apparently one of the wizards up at Unseen University got themselves killed.
That's right. The reader of esoteric accounting or something.
Esoteric occultism, yeah. How did you know that?
I was speaking to Mrs. Foams earlier.
Mrs. Foams?
She's the head chambermaid up at the new hall.
One of the halls of residence?
Yeah, the big one that runs off from the huge library.
What did she have to say?
Just that this wizard had died in mysterious circumstances. Although she sounded like mysterious circumstances are pretty normal up there. It'd be a nice change if someone died in unmysterious circumstances for a change.
Can't be easy working at the university.
You couldn't pay me enough to make me work there.
Oh no? No amount of money would make you work there?
Well, obviously not a huge amount. For enough money I'd do anything.
Anything?
Well, not involving fish, broccoli, or vinegar.
I hear a prominent merchant has been killed. Heard anything about it?
All I heard was that someone in the Merchants Guild got killed. That's all I know.
We've just been to the Merchant's Guild, so that's probably just another unlock and it glitches. Why not?
See you around.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, if I remember correctly...
Wanted, bed maker and laundryman for Unseen
There we
University. $2 for each day survived. Contact Mrs. Foams at the new hall.
That's how we get into Unseen University, to do a little bit of investigating. Actually, since we're here, and nobody is here, let's turn into a wolf.
Dark cyan was the most prevalent smell in the dressing room. There was a booming bass quality to the scent.
Oh yes, I mean the music's really good. It's jazzy, it's noir, it's good. Hold on. 'Cause we found this in our
The main smell in the dressing room was the same as the scent near the door in my office. It was definitely sapphires.
sapphire.
There was a hint of an apple-colored scent in the air.
Add that to our inventory. So yeah, since we are now a werewolf, we can see smells as colours. So we've got Gaspode the Wander Dog, the Ankh, the serial killer who's basically Carlotta, Ilsa. There's a maroon colour which we found. It's quite old in our office. Nobby. That's sapphire. Okay, some wine barrels and an apple. That's not what I wanted to press. That's definitely not what I wanted to press. Okay. Okay, before we do that, let's see if we can. Let's see if we can force this open. Actually, we got some new. A new notepad thing. Bedmaker and Nordrum, there we go. Okay, that's something different. So that's to get into the. Also got the bandages.
Okay, I suppose I could crack open, but I'd need to be a lot more confident that I wasn't going to get caught.
Okay, so we need another clue that will basically say we can get. Just ask Nobby about the bandages since we're here.
Just thought we could have a little chat.
Oh, all right then. Make it quick.
Do these mean anything to you?
Well, it could be the work of a plaster surgeon.
A plaster surgeon?
Yeah, they're cosmetic surgeons for trolls. Some troll's on the run, wants to change his face. Well, he goes to a plaster surgeon. The Watch would like to get their hands on any plaster surgeons working in Ankh-Morpork, I can tell you.
Don't you want to know where I got them?
They're just some plaster-soaked bandages. Why would I be interested?
Nobby, do you ever actually do any detective work?
Well, I'm only a corporal.
I'm beginning to understand how detritus got to be sergeant. I guess I'll see you around.
Interest, so a plaster surgeon. Let's see if Rodin's come back. He hasn't. Let's talk to Horst.
I went over to Horst's quarters, but he wasn't there.
Fair. Definitely fair. Alright, let's try and start this quest then.
Unseen University was positioned along a large stretch in the River Ankh, and its campus was convoluted enough that it was hard to tell where the university ended and the city began. It would be wrong to say that the people of the city respected the wizards of the university, and it would be wrong to say that they hated them. In fact, all you could really say was that both the citizens and the wizards were glad of the wall that stopped them from having to socialize on a daily basis.
Oh, it's this lady.
Mrs. Foames,
Yes, I am she. What do you want?
may I come in?
No, you may not.
I've come about the job.
Is that a fact? Very well, you may enter, but wipe your feet. I won't have the help messing up the carpets.
gonna walk cycle.
Now, you've come for the job, Mr.
Luton. And yes, I am interested in the job.
Well, as the head chambermaid, the decisions about hiring staff falls on my shoulders. Do you have any experience?
No, but I'm a fast learner.
Well, the pay is $2 a day. There are no perks. If you want it, it's yours.
Can you tell me about Unseen University?
It's not the business of help to discuss their employers.
Let's cut to the chase.
Is it dangerous working here? Only I heard that one of the wizards was murdered.
Don't let that bother you, Mr. Luton. The affairs of the staff are not our concern.
You don't think I'm in any danger?
Goodness, no. The odd death is just the natural course of campus politics, I'm afraid. It's a shocking turn of affairs, but we mustn't question it. Dead men's pointy boots, and all that. Now, do you want the job or not?
Sorry, what?
Dead men's pointy boots?
Yes. No questions asked as to the manner of their emptying, if you know what I mean.
I see.
I don't see. What?
I'll take the job. When do I start?
You can start now by making the beds. The dorm is through that door. I advise you to leave before the students get back.
Why?
Boys will be boys, Mr. Luton, and apprentice wizards are the worst kind of boys imaginable.
Very well. Just about this
Do you
much.
recognize this moss?
I have better things to be doing than talking to you, you know.
Do
What
these
about
ba-
bounces?
I have...
I guess I'd better
Goodbye.
get to work.
Very good.
And by work, I mean snooping around.
I guess it was my job to make the beds. Watch how fast I go. For a brief moment, I considered actually making the beds. Fortunately, good sense prevailed.
What was the other thing? Ah.
The students had their very own unlockers to keep their possessions in. Even as a human, I could smell something very disturbing coming from this particular unlocker. Given the smell of the unlocker, I was grateful it was locked. The octarine board appeared blank to my eyes, but I had a feeling there was something written on it I couldn't see. A few sticks of chalk, a type of chalk made from octarine carbonate, were resting on the top of the board. Carlotta had told me that only wizards could see octarine, which explained why the board looked blank to me. She also said that as a wolf I could smell octarine, which opened up a new avenue of inquiry. I tried to write on the octarine board with the chalk, but I couldn't see what I was writing. The chalk marks were invisible to my eyes.
That's not how you spell chalk, is it? I thought it was C-H. Well, whatever.
The
Anyway.
dorm was full of the jangling scents of the students, but the most surprising thing was the octarine board. As a wolf, I smelt the words on the board. The chalk marks showed up as sparkling traces against the odorless board. It seemed to be a list of subjects the young apprentices were studying. Occult perils of lace-making, basic myth and monsters, principles of thaumic imponderability, and temples of the Great Nev. Under the list of subjects were the words, "You must read a chapter on each before the next lecture."
Okay. I could have sworn there was something in the ceiling, but guess not. That's where we came from, so let's see what's in here. Time for a little explanation. Hello.
The burly porter had inflexible written all over him in large ironclad letters.
What are you doing here?
The name's Luton. I'm working for Mrs. Foames.
You're the new bed maker, eh? Well, you can't come any further than this, Luton. Wizards only in the library, thank you.
Wizards only?
Well, wizards, apprentices, and orangutans.
Are you a porter?
No, I'm a Bledlow. And there's a difference, all right?
What would such a difference be?
What's a Bledlow?
We look after the students,
Look after them.
just like the watch looks after the city.
You throw your weight around and beat them senseless when they do something wrong?
That's about the size of it, yeah. You don't mess with the lobsters.
Lobsters?
Just a nickname we've picked up over the years.
Why?
If you see us get our hands on a student, you'll understand.
You make it sound like you're hunting them down.
Of course, all students are guilty of everything.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Where are all the students?
They're off playing Unseen University Challenge against the students from the Assassin's Guild.
What does that
What about
involve?
that joke?
I don't know. Given the way most sports are conducted round here, it probably involves a very careful inspection of half the pubs in Ankh-Morpork.
What makes you say that?
Heard of the City and Guilds?
No.
When the guilds started setting up their own colleges, there was a lot of rivalry between the various students.
Rivalry?
Well, the university students used to be ambushed by gangs from the guilds, really.
Used to be.
Well, given the faculty's relaxed attitude to sudden death, most of the staff preferred dead students on account of them being easier to teach. But I gather the guilds decided that enough was enough because all the bodies around the place made it very hard to open doors.
So what did they do?
They founded the City and Guilds Match. See, the idea was to carry a football right from the outskirts of the Shades to the Tower of Art, goals being scored by kicking the ball through the door of certain landmarks.
What sort of landmarks?
The sort with names like the Mended Drum and the Bunch of Grapes. The scoring team was bought drinks by the other teams, you see. And after a few years, the Arch-Chancellor ruled that only one goal could be scored in each pub since the match had, for 3 years running, it had gone on for a month. Yeah.
What's this got to do with Unseen University Challenge?
Well, the university tends to leave the City and Guilds Match to the guilds. They prefer a more cerebral challenge.
Such as going straight to the pub, not passing go, and not bothering to come back.
That'd be my guess, yes.
So they're not coming back.
Well, they'll be back. They need to come to the library to get their course books.
Do you recognize this moss?
Oh, I'm just a Bledlow, Luton. No, I don't know anything about that.
Do these band...
It's worth
No,
it.
I don't.
Alright, what about this murder? Actually, what about dead men's
Have you
pointy
heard the
boots?
expression, dead men's pointy boots?
Of course.
What does it mean?
Well, towards the upper levels of magic, where the number of positions get few and far between, wizards advance primarily by the untimely death of their bosses.
And the pointy boots?
Well, the point is, no questions are asked as to the emptying of those pointy boots.
So if a high-up wizard dies and you are next in line to take over, it's not really questioned, I see.
I hear the reader of esoteric occultism was murdered.
Yep, old Mathan was so full of poison, even the worms wouldn't touch him.
He was poisoned.
That's right, right here in the Widdershins wing of the university.
You don't sound concerned.
I just keep an eye on the students. The wizards can do what they like to each other.
Yeah, here we go. So now we've got to use a poison. I'm sure we can... Sorry, I've been handed some chocolate. I'm sure we can... Half an hour about that.
Who do you think killed Matham?
Well, that shouldn't be hard to work out, eh? Just see who fills his shoes.
You think it was an internal matter?
I don't see why not. No one else has got a reason to be killing wizards, have they, eh?
Well, I'd better leave you to it. I tried to head down to the library, but the porter stopped me.
Wizards only in the library, thank you.
Right, is there anything else we should do in here? I doubt it. I think we can just come in and out now. Right.
Just thought we could have a...
Oh, all right then. Make it quick.
Have you ever...
No. What is it?
Something they mentioned at the university. It's possible that murder was something to do with internal politics. It used to be that the one legal way to get ahead as a wizard was to kill a more senior wizard.
Really?
I seriously doubt it.
I wouldn't suggest that of the Merchants Guild.
Why not?
They're a bit touchy about that sort of thing at the guilds. No one likes an ambitious person.
That's why you've got so many friends, Nobby.
Should probably save in a minute.
I found out about the murder at the university.
Really?
His name was Matham, and they found him poisoned in the Widdershin's wing. Tell Vimes.
Mr. Vimes?
Believe it or not, I want to get to the bottom of this case as much as he does.
I don't think anyone could want to get to the bottom of a case more than Mr. Vimes.
These are interesting times. I guess I'll see. I'll try. Let's face it.
That might be pointless. Oh god. Wait, did that kill... Oh, it didn't like the plus sign, that's why it cancelled it. Oh, well, never mind. Oh no, I didn't even... I had to press... Oh god. I had to click that. Alright. I'm gonna take like a small break. Because I want to refill my drink. And maybe get some small nibble. So I'll be back in a minute. Let's stick on to... I'll just stick on that one. But I'll tab back into the game. Oh my god, we dropped so many frames. Actually, wait, not just yet. I'll tab back into the game in a second. I'm just going to mute my mic. See you back in a few. Okay, we're back. Got that right. So, let's see if he can come back or not. He does not. Okay. I'm not sure what to do now, honestly. Anything on the bridge? The carriage is gone, which is odd. I don't. Maybe this is another meeting point later. That's why they've left it here. Let's see if he knows anything. Luton, please. Can I go over to this guy? Or are you gonna glitch out? Oh, I can't talk to him anymore. Oh well.
Saturnalia.
Shut. It's shut. Okay. How's these guys, I guess?
I'm back. I've got a few more questions.
Make it fast.
Do you recognize this moss?
I can't help you with that, son.
Do these bandages mean anything to you?
I can't help you.
What about the murders? That's a good point, if this is the place we're trying to smuggle ourselves into.
I hear one of the clerks got murdered.
Ask questions like that and we might have to arrest you.
On what grounds?
Well, on the palace grounds, obviously.
Not those types of grounds, you idiot.
Have you heard about the recent murder of a rich merchant?
We don't know nothing about any murders, all right?
Can you tell me anything about Maytham's murder?
We don't.
Okay. Suit yourself. In the actually, while we're here...
One of the empty barrels had a faint magenta trace to it. The empty barrels were surrounded by a cloying red mist, and it had the shrill pitch of red wine, if I wasn't mistaken. The garbage was giving off a distinctive green cloud, not dissimilar to the smell of the River Ankh.
Let's see. Can we add that? Trash, yes, we can add trash. Delicious.
The red wine here smelled identical to the wine from the Café Ankh wine cellar. I guess they must be the supplier for the palace.
Perfect, that might get us a bit more leeway. Let's see if there's Zilsa.
The two scents had a superficial similarity. One was more supernatural than the other, though.
Okay, so this is probably...
Definitely the same scent as my killer, which meant whoever it was made it into the palace concealed in a wine barrel. Why did that bring to mind the phrase, "You wait, time passes," and Thorin sits down and starts singing about gold?
I think we're done here. Okay. Alright, I forgot you can press F2 or F3 to access the inventory. Can we access? Oh, F4 activates the sense. That's interesting. I don't want this menu anyway, so that's good. Oh, that's good, so I can access all the scents from... Here we go.
I had a long wait, but it paid off.
Oh my god. Look at these poorly rendered meat shops. Oh yeah.
The storeroom was filled with boxes of food and supplies. I guess even the patrician had to eat every now and then. I couldn't think of anything useful to do with the boxes. The wine barrels had allowed me to break into the palace. It didn't speak too highly of the palace's security, but I wasn't complaining. There really wasn't anything useful I could do with the barrels.
Anything other than the door? No, okay.
The scent of red wine wasn't as strong as in the cellar, but it was still noticeable.
Okay. What's this one, though?
My killer had definitely been here.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, listen to that popping. Yes. So good.
I guess they didn't have an open door policy.
there a door? Oh, no, that's where we came from. Oh, this door. Here we go.
I guess they didn't have an... Locked.
Do I go this way? No.
I guess they didn't have...
Look in the skylight? No. No, Luton, stay.
The only noticeable scent in the hallway was someone's trail which led to the double doors.
Another scent for the collection. Okay.
The double doors were more stately than the others leading from the hall. I reckon that it led to the oblong office, the patrician's personal sanctum. I could hear a conversation on the other side of the door, but I couldn't quite make out what was being said.
Maybe we can
As
as
a
a
wolf, my hearing was dramatically improved.
Perfect.
I could recognize one of the voices as Commander Vimes, and the other voice had the calculating tones of Lord Vetinari, the patrician of Ankh-Morpork.
Are you any closer to a solution for our mutual problem?
No, sir. I've been occupied.
Indeed. And what could occupy you?
There was a string of copycat killings. I've been trying to solve them.
And have you?
No. My lead suspect was killed.
That is very unfortunate.
It certainly was for Luton.
So there has been no progress in determining who killed Cypher.
Not as such.
I had been given to understand that this was precisely the situation you were well equipped to handle.
I will solve this case, sir. You can count on me.
Do you recall what I said the city reminds me of?
You said it reminds you of a clock, sir.
Indeed. Big wheels and little wheels, all turning at different speeds to keep the machine working. That, after all, is the most important thing. The machine keeps going.
You've told me this before.
Do you know why it keeps working?
Because you want it to keep working?
I'm flattered that you think I have such importance. But no, it keeps running because the people believe it will keep running. Faith is a powerful force.
There is a point to this, sir?
I always have a point. Sometimes it's sharper than others.
I'm sorry. Continue.
One of my clerks has been found face down in a vat of wine, and that makes it appear as if the administration has lost control.
And the administration is me, right?
We are all the administration. You do the work, and I take both the credit and the blame. Provided I do not take the blame, I am content. I trust I make myself clear.
Perfectly.
Suddenly, I could smell blood. It filled up my senses like a night in a forest. Except a night in a forest didn't make me want to tear someone's throat out. I didn't know whether the guard had cut himself or if I was just developing a healthy bloodlust, like any young werewolf. But I couldn't control myself. The next thing I knew, I was in my office. I had no idea how I got there, how I got my coat out of the palace, or where I'd got a traffic cone from. It had been that sort of night. I was sitting at my desk, thinking over the case, when there was a knock at the door.
I understand you've been a busy boy, Luton.
It's a busy life when you're a private investigator. Plus, you get to see interesting foreign places and learn a trade.
There was a commotion at the palace last night. Perhaps you know about it?
What goes on at the palace has nothing to do with me.
Indeed it is not. And if, for some reason, you did take an interest in the palace, I'm sure you would not be so foolish as to be caught breaking into the palace.
Of course not. Think I'm suicidal?
Strange you should say that. I heard you'd been killed.
I expect you hear a lot of things that aren't true. I bet someone has to explain them to you using very small words.
The thing is, The intruder at the palace appears to have been a werewolf.
There's a lot of that around this time of year, I understand. Must be the moon.
I paid my respects to your grave.
Oh, that was nice of you.
It was empty.
Oh, you know how it is. I get claustrophobic in narrow spaces.
So do werewolves, perhaps?
I wouldn't know about that.
Remember when I said how disappointed I was that I couldn't take you out for free?
Oh, that was a very touching sentiment.
Well, Lord Vetinari has generously offered to pay for the inhumation of last night's intruder.
He has a big heart.
It's a shame no one can find it.
Was there a point to your visit?
I was just passing through. Thought you might benefit from my advice.
How generous of you.
Well, I'll be on my way.
The door's behind you. I can explain how to use it if you want.
Watch your steps, Luton. I will be.
Thanks a lot, Chief. But yes, Suave, there is a dog in our pocket, because we're a fucking werewolf. So let's see what we've got added to that goods. Siphon down and wine, there we go. So someone was poisoned. Someone was drowned in a fire. What do you mean, how do those two correlate? This is a point-and-click adventure game, Suave. It's like another menu. So what's it going to be? It's going to be another button that is turned into a wolf. No, Swab, that's not how it works, because we don't transform into a chimpanzee. That's not how this works. Oh, God. Let's see if Nobby knows anything.
Just thought we...
Make it.
I found out about that Clark cipher. He was drowned in a vat of wine.
If you say so. Lucky for some, eh?
I guess I'll...
So we're still going to get into the Merchants Guild. Before going there and flicking through everything, that's important. I'm still going to work out how to do the bandages. Merchant's murder, how do we find out about this? We're going to find a loophole. Oh, sod it, let's go.
Mind if I ask some more questions?
As long as they're not about the incident, be my guest.
They're going to be about the incident.
So how did you end up working?
Oh, we got you. Well, we made a lot of steam. It wouldn't stop.
And that...
Oh, if you want it,
Come on, someone wasn't... What?
we're not.
Okay, so there are Easter eggs, like references to the first two Discworld games, and of course other references to things in the books. There is not a sex scene as a werewolf, and get a bad ending. You can't get a bad ending in this. It's not that type of game. This is, let's just see. Right.
I hear up at the Unseen University, they talk about dead men's pointy boots.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Really?
Yes, they ask no questions about how a wizard's shoes were emptied.
Operate the same policy here, do you?
What? Hey, what are you implying?
Well, you know. Here you are, stuck on the door. Then a merchant gets killed, leaving a vacancy in the hierarchy.
I did not kill Gaming.
But there aren't any witnesses to that, are there?
There aren't any witnesses at all. He was alone in the guild house when... Oops.
Thanks for the information.
Wait. Don't tell anyone I said anything. They'll lynch me.
I'll keep quiet if you tell me everything you know.
No, I've already said too much.
Well, it was good while it lasted. Now all I had to find out was how Gaiman had been killed. And I had a feeling I wasn't going to learn that here.
Perfect. Right, wait, did that get added? No, but he did talk.
Well, goodbye.
So he's called Gaiman. And he was alone. Okay. We're down. Still not back. God damn it. Excuse me. I'm just wandering around the cemetery now, aren't I? That's not where I wanted to go. Arrow, where are you? How do I get out of... There we go. Look at that fire graphic.
I'm back.
Good boy.
I guess, but... Do you know anything about moss?
Do you recognize this moss?
Gordon Bennett. Who... Do these... Gordon.
I guess not then.
Do you know anything about...
No use asking me.
Human manners. Yeah, he doesn't know, right? Look at the fire graphic.
Either I was going over to the temple or I wasn't. That's all there...
Oh, right, now I need to do, like, I need to do something outside the window to, like, spook him or whatever. But I can't do that yet. Where have they gone? They're just not here. I don't remember them leaving. No, I was hoping that wouldn't happen. Stand still.
It always looked much easier in the clickies.
See how these lads are getting on.
Two Conkers was Ilsa's companion, an Agatean with a sharp mind but a slender grasp on the local tongue. He was also Ilsa's husband. I still didn't know how I felt about that.
So we're like standing on the...
Leonard of Quim was a renowned genius with the usual problem that geniuses have with relating to other people. He was clearly one of those people who started to look old around 30. And he wasn't exactly bald. It was more like his head had just grown up through his hair. Can I ask you a few questions?
Well, we are a little busy at the moment. Can it wait?
How long?
Just a day or so.
No, then it can't wait.
Very well. What did you want to know?
No, we can talk. Okay.
What is that thing you're working on?
It's my flapping wing flying device. I had put it to one side, but I had an inspiration and decided to go back to developing it.
What was the inspiration?
It occurred to me that if I modified my turning the wheels with pedals and another wheel machine to turn the spinning blades radiating from central hub, I might be able to produce a flapping wing flying device that could be driven forward by a human operating the pedals with his feet.
Will it work?
If we can to be solving the minor problems, it might just maybe will be yes.
What are the problems you're experiencing?
Mainly weight. If it is going to fly, it has to be light. But Two Conkers had suggested using bombastic wood for the frame, which is extremely light for its strength. I have to raid one of my floating designs to get enough of the stuff, but it should work.
If weight is a problem, why does it seat 2 people?
The patrician said he would be most interested in the device if it could be used to fly 2 people.
You don't know why?
Well, he said he was interested in how far you could travel in it.
Come to think of it, I suppose Veterinary might be interested in getting a long way from the city in a hurry one day. Could you fly a long distance in it?
Now imagine you'd get very tired. Still, if it were moving over a flat surface, you might get some additional lifting things up force reflected off the ground, which would mean it would be easier. I call this the reflecting some of your lifting things up force off the ground effect.
Well, this is all very interesting, but it isn't helping my case much.
Do it to everybody. I'm just gonna do it to everybody.
Do you recognize this moss?
What? Sorry, I was a little distracted.
Do these bandits...
That might just work.
It may to be of much sureness.
Never mind. I knew full well that asking either Leonard or 2 conkers about any of the murders would be a waste of time.
I don't know why that was. He said that aloud rather than just in his
I
head.
decided to leave them to their work. I doubted they even noticed I was gone.
Yeah, we don't have anything to talk to them about, honestly. They're gone. Oh, let's visit the count.
Who would
Why
say-
not?
I'd like... Is she home?
I will go and announce your presence, and she will...
I couldn't think of a good reason. The painting bore a...
You're up late.
I can never sleep after I've been stabbed to death.
What did you want to talk about?
So, do you do this all the time? Set up some poor sap and get him to do your dirty work?
All right. I admit, I deceived you. But you're not my puppet, Luton. You never were. I could see the fire in you, and I liked it.
That's why you infected me?
You haven't been a werewolf for long. You don't know what it's like. You can't have a decent relationship with mortals when you're a bloodthirsty wolf 1 week out of every month.
You ruined my life so you could have a companion?
Don't be so melodramatic, Luton. It doesn't suit you.
What would you call it?
I gave you a gift, and it's a wonderful gift. You just have to get used to it.
Of all the washed-up men in all the cities on the disc, why did you come to me?
Why does anyone do anything? We're all pawns in someone's game, Luton. The best we can hope for is to take charge of our lives. And don't forget, never forget, if I hadn't done this, you'd be dead. I saved your life.
It wasn't much of a life to save.
It could be.
If I became your lapdog, I could never do that.
I wouldn't ask you to. You're special, Luton. You're like me. The law isn't for people like us.
What is?
Well, that's another thing I've been trying to figure out for years.
So, do you do this all the time? Set up some...
All right, but you...
Wait, what?
Where the ve- and I...
If I could...
I wouldn't... You're like me. The law...
What is...
Well, that's...
Why is it giving me the option to do that and play that again?
Do you recognize this moss?
I'm sure you can...
Do these bandages mean anything to you?
I'm sure you...
I got a key from Reagan's body. It led me to this. It's empty.
It's empty.
Mean anything to you?
No, nothing.
Not a shot. Alright.
Do you know anything about Cypher's murder?
No, I don't.
Do you?
No, I...
She's not really like any of those.
Does dead men's pointy boots mean anything to you?
I'm sure you can think of...
Tell me about this.
I already told you. I don't like...
She's not like then. He's the god.
Is that all the...
It used to...
Well, that...
How do you... It was thumb...
Yeah, we've talked about that. Right. gone too far, haven't I? Look at this, look, wee! Look, it's broken.
Have you heard of...
Sorry, Lut. I'm not an expert on murder.
I'll be in...
Who
See
would
the
say...
count.
Can I see the Count?
I am not in a position to know how good your vision is, but you may see the Count, which I believe is what Sir actually meant in Sir's untutored way.
The Count's health was getting worse. He wasn't making much sense.
Is that you? I knew you'd come for me sooner or later. Is it time? Is it time already? It's been such a long time, hasn't it? We've had fun together, haven't we? Soon enough.
Count?
Soon enough, my dear. Soon enough.
Count? It's Luton.
He cannot
There he
hear you.
is.
Why not?
It's almost his time.
I've seen some scary things in my time. I've seen men driven mad by money or women. I've seen wars where neither side has known what they were fighting over. I've seen Nobby getting out of the shower. Believe me, that was no picnic. I didn't really discover what terror was until I found myself talking to a 7-foot-high skeleton with a scythe. Your death!
Am I? You know, I wondered why I was carrying the scythe around.
Am I?
Are you what? A selfish, bitter man who has yet to squander his one last chance at redemption?
Am I dead?
No. It's not your time.
I thought you might have missed me the other day when I was stabbed and you've only just got around to me.
I'm famously punctual.
So why are you here?
I've come out for the count, so to speak.
Oh, well, that's a shame. I was hoping to ask him a few questions.
You seem remarkably calm for one who's just seen the defeater of empires, the swallower of oceans, the thief of years, the ultimate reality, the harvester of mankind, and the assassin against whom no lock will hold.
Lock will hold.
That's me, in case you have trouble with long sentences.
It's been that kind of week. How long has he got?
That depends on you.
On me? I thought our time was allocated by the fates.
It is true that fate is the ultimate master of life and death. But even fate takes a back seat to the laws of narrative causality.
I don't understand.
Really? Who said you were supposed to?
You might give me a clue.
Let's just say that the actions of one person may change the way the whole story is told.
I don't understand.
Don't worry. It'll all become clear to you at the end.
You're the main character, so he's not going to die just yet.
How come you're here?
I came on my horse.
What is it? A skeletal horse whose hooves spark with flames with each step?
No. Just my horse. I call him Binky.
And he's not a skeleton?
He happens to be very well fed and looked after, thank you very much.
I still don't understand why you're here. I mean, you're death. Shouldn't you be everywhere?
I am everywhere.
But you're here.
Yes. As well. Don't try to work it out. Even I don't fully understand it. It involves really complicated numbers.
You turn up like this for everyone?
Generally, I'm only expected to make an actual appearance on special occasions.
And this is a special occasion?
Not yet. I've arrived ahead of time. But there's going to be a lot of business in Ankh-Morpork soon, so it doesn't hurt for me to get here a little early.
You wouldn't care to tell me more about this, I suppose?
The immediate future is not a matter on which I propose to enlighten you, no.
How come I can see you? Is it something to do with me being a werewolf?
In a sense. It has much more to do with certain other matters.
Such as?
Ordinarily, I am only perceived by those who are about to die.
So you are invisible? Oh, that must be useful.
I'm not invisible, as such. People just can't see me. They won't allow themselves to do it. Until it's time, of course. Wizards can see me, and cats. Odd, really, but there you go.
But I can see you.
Indeed. People in a state of heightened awareness sometimes stop seeing what they expect to see and start seeing what is really there.
Like with Gaspode.
Frankly, I think your seeing me has more to do with your quest for the golden sword.
You know about that?
I've been around. I hear things.
Why should the sword be a factor?
Well, it's more to do with narrative causality, as I said.
It's not really a quest. I mean, I'm just investigating a few murders.
Believe me, I know. I was there.
Death was there at the murders, wasn't he?
You mentioned narrative causality before.
Did I? I must be becoming careless.
Why? Aren't you allowed to discuss it?
It's not exactly against the rules. But it might ruin it if I told you.
Ruin what?
The story.
You know about this moss.
I don't suppose you know anything about mosses.
Moss? Did you say moss? Plants. Yes.
Oh,
Lots of plants here. Can't remember much about them these days. The memory fails. There are books, though. I forget where. Ah, yes. The library's apocrypha. All the books are there, you know.
May I use the library?
Eh? What was that, my boy? The library. Ah, yes. The library's apocrypha. All the books are there, you know. You can use it if it will help your inquiries. How go your inquiries? Have you heard from Regan?
No, not yet.
This room contains the von Uberwald's Libraris Apocrypha. So will, I trust, be careful not to damage any of the priceless tomes housed within.
I'll be careful.
One would be very upset if one was to return to find, sir, perhaps folding paper animals from a priceless folio edition of the Dictionary of Eye-Watering Words.
What are they?
They are books, sir.
I realize that. What are they about?
The Libraris Apocrypha is a collection of obscurities and rare volumes from across the continent. If knowledge were an animal, the Libraris would be a great dragon. Sir, by the same scale, would be a kebab on an ant's barbecue.
I'll be careful.
Well, we weren't quite finished talking with Death, but let's do a little investigating since we're here. We still going?
The books were all neatly indexed by a vast series of cards in a wooden case. It looked like the von Uberwalds were using an ancient version of Huey's octal system of indexing. It was complicated, but I reckoned I could at least use it to find out what books they had on a particular subject, and then wander around until I saw a bookshelf with the right number on it. The library was the von Uberwald's collection of obscurities. Perhaps I could turn it to my advantage.
Okay.
I found a copy of Orange Crate's On the Nature of Plants. The book was a tediously detailed study of the plant kingdom, and one of the most boring things I've ever read. But I found the moss in there. Apparently it was a lycanthrope, a type of animate moss with crude locomotion, found only in the worst sewers in the most decrepit urban areas. Apparently the lycanthrope looked like harmless moss until something to eat walked by. Then they transformed into a deadly lichen and devoured their prey, at least as long as it was small enough. Otherwise, they just clung on for dear life.
Interesting, okay. So it's somewhere to go later. Oh, and the moss is gone now, okay.
I didn't really know how to look that up in the library.
Oh boy, let's just go all out with this.
Finding a book on swords wasn't as difficult as I thought. I even found a tome on gold blades. 1001 Golden Swords, the complete story of gold swords throughout history. Unfortunately, it wasn't very helpful.
Oh, actually, we've got that coin.
Whatever the coin was, I couldn't find anything about it here.
Yeah, the sewers, okay. Oh, why not?
I checked through the library and found some ancient plans of the city of Ankh. There was an intricate sewer system beneath the city. It must be thousands of years old. It would be in quite a state if it was still around, and as far as I could tell, it would be under the waterline if there wasn't a drought on. Given the rains that we'd had recently, I could only find one section of sewer that might be above water. There was a shallow sewer running from the Magdalen Bridge around the rimward side of the Royal Winter Palace of the Kings of Ankh, now the home of the patrician. I guess the designers weren't allowed to put sewers under the palace grounds, which might have been why the Royal Summer Palace of the Kings of Ankh was a long way from Ankh-Morpork. That and the stench of the River Ankh, anyway.
Now, from what I remember, the sewers are really, really creepy, and I don't like them.
I looked up unseen university policy in the library and found the university prospectus. Not only were the iconographs in it at least 30 years out of date, but the prospectus made Ankh-Morpork sound like the cultural center of the Disc, and not the rancorous cesspool that it was. It did mention, however, that progression through the 8 levels of wizardry is determined in part by the acquisition of degree qualifications, and particularly towards the top of the tree, where the number of places became few and far between, by a policy of dead man's pointy boots. No questions being asked about the manner of them emptying. This information, although thorough, seemed of absolutely no use to me.
jewel. Yeah, that's good. This is useful because we're not giving
None of the
information
books
to
on
anybody else.
jewels or antiquities I could find said anything about a gold-plated jewel. I couldn't write off the possibility that there was something in the library that I hadn't managed to find, though. If I knew what it was called, it'd be easier.
Okay, so that's a clue to... We need another clue to use as a catalyst to find it. Okay. What have they got on errata?
The only literature I could find on errata in the library was a leaflet published by Malaclips, who gave his permanent address as the only really holy corner of the Temple of Small Gods.
Hang on. Oop, dear. Sorry, hang on. Oh, piss. There we go. We are still live, sorry. The screen I'm watching the chat on just died. So I thought the stream had died, but it's not. We're fine, we're fine. We're still here. Right, I'm gonna take like a quick break again, so give me a second. Okay, right, this one. So what else should we look at? Okay, sorry about that. Why not?
I didn't really know how to look.
It's quite...
I didn't really... I didn't really...
Just be pressing F2. Why is F2? Oh.
I didn't really... The best book I could find for tracking down the mysterious bestial attacker was Philo's Bestiary, but there was nothing in it that sounded remotely like what Gable had described to me.
So wow, I've hit 4,000 views on the channel. Hurrah! That's not bad.
I didn't really know...
Oh, we're here. Might as well.
I didn't...
Oh, yeah, that's... Okay, they're not gonna come up with anything.
There was nothing about Al-Khali himself, but there was a copy of Frescoes and Fatal Traps of the Temples of Al-Khali, which was less than enlightening. I wondered if I was ever going to find out the origin of his name. But then I read the line, "The city of Al-Khali is also known for its wind, blowing from the vastness of the deserts and continents nearer the rim. A gentle yet persistent breeze. It carries aromatic messages from the heart of the continent, compounded of the chill of the deserts, the stink of lions, the compost of jungles, and the flatulence of wildebeest." Well, it was a working theory at least. I was looking for a book that would tell me something about Carlotta when I stumbled upon The Complete Bloody History of Uberwald. In it was the story of Duchess Charlotte von Uberwald, who was betrothed to Vlach the Impala, most feared of the undead antelope. She betrayed him and married into the von Uberwalds instead, causing a minor peasant uprising. The whole history of Uberwald seemed to be a series of peasant uprisings.
Flavor text, yeah. Okay, no, that's... No, we want F3, okay.
I didn't really know...
Fair.
I didn't really...
Okay, I think we're done here for now. Let's go talk to Death again. Hello.
Who would...
Can I see...
I am...
Still here, I...
In a sense.
Let's go through the whole lot. Why not?
Can you think of any reason that Mundy might have been hung upside down before he was killed?
Of course.
You were there?
Well, yes. I have to be. But this is very irregular.
Of course. You know about all these murders, don't you? I mean, you're basically an accessory after the fact. Or possibly before the fact.
Young man, I am the fact.
Well, tell me everything you know.
Are you sure? It would take millions of years.
I meant about this case. We could stop anyone else from being killed.
No. Absolutely not. You can't expect me to be a witness in a murder inquiry. I'm going to take the fifth.
The fifth what?
No one ever says what fifth. They just take it. And I'll have the 6th, 7th, and 15th through 23rd, just to be on the safe side.
So you won't tell me anything?
Oh, lots of things. I like to talk to a man who likes to talk.
But you won't tell me anything about the murders?
I will not. Supposing that caught on. You think I want to spend every day in a witness box?
Even though Death said he wouldn't tell me anything, I had a suspicion that I might be able to learn something if I could just trip him up. I'd have to be careful, though. The last thing I wanted was to get Death upset with me. He's not a guy you want as your enemy.
Alright, hold on. Because my Twitch died again on that side. No, Ace, we did not do that. But I'll tell you what we did do is... Hang on. We finally found someone who knows about the moss, aka the Count, so we've gone to the library, and now we can go into the sewers. But we have met Death, and basically... And it's Death, so I'm going solid and talking to him about everything.
What do you know about a woman named Carlotta?
I haven't met yet.
Yet. Okay, he's literally just saying that for everyone.
Do you know...
I haven't yet.
What?
I haven't yet.
Do you know anything about the counterweight killings?
I already told you that I could not discuss the details of my work with you.
There must be something you can tell me about Reagan's murder.
What would be the point of your job if I did all your work for you?
I'll make you a deal. You help me, and I'll help you.
Oh yes, that'd do my reputation good, wouldn't it? You sidling up to people and saying, "Hey, sister, you're deader than a bucket of fish." No thank you.
Okay. I was only trying to be friendly.
I don't have many friends. Don't have the knack, I suppose.
You and me both, pal.
Still, we both have jobs that allow us to get out and meet people.
You can at least tell me why the murderer killed Reagan, Mundy, and Malachite. Surely that wouldn't be a problem.
Look, if I tell you about him, where does it stop? No. I will tell you nothing.
I think it's too late for that.
Bugger. I don't suppose you could forget I said that.
Sure. Thanks for eliminating half of my suspects. So, the murderer was male. Well, that put Carlotta and Sapphire in the clear.
Oh, jeez, there's the glitch.
It seems a woman that I've been involved with is a werewolf.
Indeed.
Her name's Carlotta. She's the mistress of the house, I guess.
Carlotta, Yes, of course she is. Couldn't be part of the Von Uberwalds if she wasn't, You'd be a werewolf, too, if you married her.
The Von Uberwalds are all werewolves.
Really? How do you know that?
How do I know that, eh? How could I not know that? I was married myself, you know. Do you remember my wife?
Yes.
No.
Before your time,
No one was before my time.
Thanks.
Have you heard of the goddess Errata?
Eh? A goddess? Yes. Yes, she was. I always liked your mother. That's why I married her, I suppose.
Is he
Dead? No. You'll know when he dies.
how?
I will swing my scythe.
Do you have to do that?
No. But when I appear in person, I am required to separate the soul from its body.
Why?
It has symbolic value.
Do you know Errata?
The goddess of misunderstandings. Yes.
What's she like?
Chaotic and confusing. But she has a certain sense of justice, I think.
Justice?
All the gods are sentimentalists at heart. Of course, I never let that sort of thing get in my way.
Do you know?
I haven't met...
I think the murderer I'm looking for is some kind of beast.
No doubt you will find out soon enough.
According to the gatekeeper at the Merchants Guild, nobody witnessed Gaimin's stabbing.
Gaimin wasn't stabbed.
Really? How did he die?
He was strangled.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Blast. I didn't see that one coming.
And now we've got a full list. Thank you.
Can you tell me anything about Mason?
I already told you that
Do you know?
I already...
Thanks for filling in the missing pieces about Gaimin's murder.
I'd deem it a favor if you forgot that I told you.
Do you know anything about golden swords?
I've seen a couple in my time.
Such as?
Oh, I don't know. If you've seen one golden sword, you've seen them all.
Do you know anything about jewels?
Jewels? Shiny. Not much use for anything except looking pretty.
Count von Uberwald?
Has it turned cold again? I can't tell.
There's life in the old Count yet.
There will be. Right up until the end.
What about you?
I'll be there.
No, I mean, do you know anything about jewels?
I once had to acquire a diamond for a friend.
Where did you find it?
In a temple. They thought it was the tear of a god.
Was it?
No. Gods never weep. Sometimes the imagination of mankind astonishes me.
You don't know anything about gold-plated jewels?
Sorry, no.
Well, it was worth it. Ask.
Does dead men's pointy boots mean anything to you?
They use it at the Unseen University, do they not?
So I understand.
It is accurate. The wizards do have pointy boots. It's traditional.
I think it has some other meaning.
That would explain why I have heard it mentioned in the guilds. Their boots are seldom pointy.
Do you know anything about the sewers beneath Ankh-Morpork?
I cannot help you with that.
Well, goodbye. I'm sure we'll meet again.
Oh, you can be certain of it. Incidentally, I rather like your hard-boiled monologues.
You do?
Oh, yes. 6 buckets of fish bait. That was a good one. And of course, the way you can actually think out of the corner of your mouth. Very impressive.
I didn't know I was doing it.
Oh, yes. Take that, you doity rat. Wonderful stuff. Very entertaining. You know, sometimes I've wondered if I should take the scythe around in a violin case. It would certainly add to the atmosphere of menace and uncertainty.
Really?
Of course, I don't play the violin. And I can't talk out of the corners of my mouth. It's a great shame.
Right, I think what we're going to do is, well, first off, save. We're going to look in the sewers, and I think I'm going to call it there. Now, what I remember, I think you...
The ancient civic plans from the library led me straight to the sewer's entrance, not far from the Mortland Bridge. A relatively small tunnel was concealed beneath a pile of debris that must have accumulated over the centuries. It looked as if most of the tunnels here were actually still above the water line, or the sludge line, to be more honest about it.
I was about to say, like, I think I usually looked up a guide for this, but I think what you just have to do is... There's only one way. Just go in wolf form and you'll find it, I guess.
I wasn't even sure it really was water. I didn't want to root around in the water. The smell of the Ankh was unbearably strong in the sewer, and it was all I could do to remain conscious.
Yeah, I can't remember which way I'm going.
The trail that I had seen in the cemetery seemed to continue down in the sewers, starting at one of the pipes and disappearing into the passageways. It was almost drowned out by the smell of the Ankh, though.
Okay, so yeah, we go this way. Go. Look, you can skip things. What? Oh, bollocks.
Definitely the same scent. The trail that I had seen in the cemetery seemed to continue down in the sewers, starting at one of the pipes and disappearing into the passageways. It was almost drowned out.
There we go. Can I see you too?
There was all manner of debris piled up inside the niche. It looked like some kind of nest. I was strongly reminded of what I'd found in the Milka's cargo hold, only this nest seemed bigger somehow. Amongst the garbage was some kind of pendant.
Well, if I could, you know, pick up the pendant.
Amongst the garbage...
Can I pick up the pendant?
There was all manner. It looked like some kind of... I was struck... Perhaps I should have a good root around in the debris before trying...
I'm
Amongst the
doing?
garbage was some kind of pendant. The metal of the pendant glinted amongst the debris.
Bloody skull.
As I stood in the alcove examining the pendant, I felt as if I wasn't alone. It was the same presence I'd felt in the milker's hold. I could feel the cold touch of death upon me. It was a strangely light touch.
Oh, hello.
Size obviously isn't important, I agree. You are Death, right? Rats have their own death? No offense, I mean, you're very, very intimidating. For a skeletal rat, at least. So, do you come here often? I'm sorry, it's not easy to think of things to say to something like you. Well, it's not often I find myself in the sewers talking to a... What are you exactly? Exactly. So what's your connection to the big guy? You're sort of like relatives, then. You probably get together for birthdays and hogwatch night. I'd like to see that. If you don't mind me asking, were you on the Milka before? I thought so. What were you doing on the Milka? Uh-huh. No, please. Go on. Did you see anything? Well, I don't know. Anything unusual? Anything else? Yeah, I saw that. And that's here? This is its lair? It can't be very big. That's not very comforting. But I guess that's not your job. Comfort, I mean. I wasn't suggesting you weren't good at your job. I've never looked at it that way before. I couldn't believe it. I was talking to a phantasmal rodent. I hoped he couldn't read my thoughts. He seems easily offended.
What do you mean, Fusky? I can speak rat. You mean you can't speak rat?
So, what's it like being the death of rats? You don't get to talk much, do you? I found this in the nest. Do you know anything about it? It was on the Milka, so this thing brought it here for some reason. I could really use some help, you know. Oh, forget I asked. Do you know any gods? Know any human gods? Oh, be pedantic, why don't you? I'm trying to find a golden sword. Can you help? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the last time I saw it, when it was sticking out of my ribs. Can you help me find a jewel? Sorry, I forgot. You're a busy entity. Does dead men's pointy boots mean anything to you?
Ask me.
Can you tell me anything? Do you know any... Well, no, it's not the rats that are being murdered. That's fair enough, I suppose. I'll be sure to come to you the first time I am investigating a serial rat killer. We Mad Arthur? He's not a serial killer, he's an exterminator. Well, fair point, I suppose. What?
We may as well press him for a few.
Do you think there's a connection between the creature who made these nests and the beast that killed Malachite and the beast that killed me? Can't you give me a little help? No, I understand. Professional ethics and all. Do you know what...
I'll take that as a no.
I couldn't exactly slip the fact that Carlyle...
This is true.
What do you... Do you... Can you think... What do you... Do you... What... Can you...
Alright, hold on.
Do these be... I had a...
Even with the death, it's okay.
I had a feeling... Well, it was nice meeting you. I have to get going. It's not like that. I have a lot of work to do. You too, huh?
The grim squeaker, indeed. Good, we can leave. Whew. Grim squeaker indeed. Right, let's have a quick look at the library.
Who would...
Where's the libraries?
I'd like... Very well.
There were books on jewelry, but I couldn't find the pendant in any of them. I did get the idea that the design of the pendant might match something else, though.
Wait, hold on. What to do? Miscellaneous.
I couldn't see what that had.
True. No. Oh god. So we got a pendant. So that was superfluous. I don't need to say it again. Right. So yeah, I think we'll... Actually, wait. We know how he was killed now, so...
Mind if I ask some more?
As long as they're not...
They are about the instance, I'm afraid. 24. One page up.
Well, it seems that Gaiman was strangled right here in the Merchants Guild.
How did you find that out?
A little anthropomorphic personification told me. Okay, so it was risky flaunting my discovery over such an easily offended guild. But how often did you get to consult death on a murder investigation? I'd earned the right to gloat.
Oh, well, that's pointless, right? But
Well, good.
I'll save. Okay. so I'm going to leave it there. I'm tapping out. I don't shut the game down. Actually, wait, no. We go to that thing. And then I can quit. Right, there we go. Phew. Well, that was a stream. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for that raid, Samurai. If you're indeed still there. Thank you as well for indicating it. So yes, I think I'm going to go raid SNES, because he is online right now. He's doing some Wind Waker, so we'll see you over there. So thank you all for coming, and see you next time.